Good morning, students. Welcome to the social science class. Hope you all are staying safe. Students, in today's class, I'm going to teach you from geography. That is from Unit 3. The topic is hydrologic cycle. I repeat, the topic is hydrologic cycle. Now, let's see the learning objectives. To understand the status of water on the earth, to learn the basic of hydrologic cycle, to study the different components of hydrologic cycle, synopsis, introduction, water on the earth, hydrologic cycle, components of hydrologic cycle, evapotranspiration, condensation, forms of condensation, precipitation, forms of precipitation, infiltration, percolation, runoff, types of runoff, and hardwords. So these are the topics that we are going to see in this lesson. Now, let's see the introduction. Water is one of the most important elements on the earth. All plants and animals need water for survival. Apart from drinking, water is required for domestic, agriculture, industrial purpose, etc. Water is very essential for carrying out almost all economic activities. So, water is an indispensable element without which life form on the earth is not possible. Now, let's see the first topic, water on the earth. Water is one of the most important elements on the earth. About 71% of the earth's surface is covered by water. The quantity of water present on the earth is about 326 million cubic miles. Most of the water on the earth is saline and is found in seas and oceans. The salt water is about 97.2% and the fresh water is only about 2.8%. Out of this 2.8%, about 2.2% is available as surface water and the remaining 0.6% as groundwater. In 2.2% of surface water, 2.15% is available in the form of calcareous and ice cap. Water in India is available in three sources. They are precipitation, surface water, and groundwater. I repeat, water in India is available in three sources. They are precipitation, surface water, and groundwater. Students, for better understanding, look at this picture. Salt water, that is ocean, contains 97.2%. Fresh water contains 2.8%. Groundwater contains 30.1%. Ice cap and glaciers contain 68.7%. Surface water contains 0.3%. Swamps contains 11%. Lakes contains 87%. Rivers contain 2%. Now let's see the hydrologic cycle. The hydrologic cycle is also called as water cycle. Hydrology is a science which deals with the various aspects of water. I repeat, hydrology is a science which deals with the various aspects of water such as its occurrence, distribution, movement, and properties on the planet Earth. While Hydrologic cycle is a global sun-driven process where water is transported from ocean to atmosphere, from atmosphere to land, and from land back to oceans. Hydrologic cycle is a closed system. Hydrologic cycle is a circulation of water. Hydrologic cycle is a continuous process and takes place naturally. The three important phases of the hydrologic cycle are evapotranspiration, precipitation, and runoff. Students, look at this picture. Evaporation takes place from the surface water and transpiration from the plants. Water vapor get condensed into clouds, and the clouds melts and sometimes burst, resulting in precipitating of different forms. A part of water from precipitation flows over the land is called runoff, and the other part infiltrates into soil, which builds up the groundwater. Now let's see the components of hydrologic cycle. There are 6 main components in hydrologic cycle. They are evapotranspiration, condensation, precipitation, infiltration, percolation, runoff. So these are the 6 main components in hydrologic cycle. Now let's see these components in detail. First one, evapotranspiration. It is defined as the total loss of water from the earth through evaporation from the surface water bodies and the transpiration from vegetation. Okay children, now I explain the process of evaporation and transpiration separately. Evaporation. Evaporation refers to the process in which the liquid form of water changes into gaseous form. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius temperature, but it actually begins to evaporate at 0 degrees Celsius, and the process takes place very slowly. The atmosphere gets nearly 90% of moisture from the ocean, seas, lakes, and river through evaporation, remaining 10% moisture from plants through transpiration. Extent of surface water, wind, and atmosphere humidity affects the rate of water vapor. The rate of evaporation is low during periods of calm winds than windy times. When the air is calmed, evaporated water tends to stay close to water body. During windy, water vapor is driven away and replaced by dry air, which increases evaporation. Now let's see the transpiration. Transpiration refers to the process by which the water content in the plants are released into the atmosphere in the form of water vapor. Water taken up by plants is released through transpiration. The rate of transpiration is also affected by the temperature, wind, and humidity. The rate of transpiration is also determined by soil water content, ability of water to conduct water to the roots, crop characteristics, its environment, and cultivation also determines transpiration in case of agriculture. Okay children, now let's see the picture. So this picture shows that the evaporation takes place through the surface water and the transpiration is taken place by plants through leaves. Okay, now let's see the second component, that is condensation. Condensation refers to the process in which the gaseous form of water changes into liquid form. Condensation generally occurs in the atmosphere when warm air rises, cools, or loses its capacity to hold water vapor. This water vapor condenses to form cloud droplets. Condensation is responsible for the formation of clouds. These clouds produce precipitation, which is primary route for water to return to the earth's surface in the water cycle. Condensation is the opposite of evaporation. And now let's see the forms of condensation. So there are different forms of condensation. They are like dew, fog, frost, mist and clouds. Now let's see these forms in detail. Dew. Dew is a water droplet formed by the condensation of water vapor on a relatively cold surface of an object. It forms when the temperature of an object drops below the dew point temperature. And next, frost. The ice crystals formed by deposition of water vapor on a relatively cold surface of an object is known as frost. And next, fog. Fog is a suspended tiny water droplet or ice crystal in an air layer next to the earth's surface that reduces the visibility to 1000 meter or lower. And next, mist. Mist is the tiny droplets of water hanging in the air. These droplets form when the water vapor in the air is rapidly cooled and it changes from invisible gases to tiny visible water droplets. Mist is less dense than the fog. Clouds. Clouds consist of tiny water droplet or ice particles which are so small or light in weight. Clouds are formed by microscopic drops of water or by small ice crystals. The size of the droplets generally range from a couple of microns to 100 microns. Okay children, that's all about the forms of condensation. Now let's see the precipitation. Precipitation refers to all forms of water that falls from clouds and reaches the earth's surface. And next, forms of precipitation. The precipitation in the warmer parts of the world is always in the form of rain or drizzle. In colder region, precipitation may fall as snow or ice. Common types of precipitation include rain, sleet, freezing rain, hail and snow. Okay children, now let's see the types of precipitation in detail. First one, rain. The most common kind of precipitation is rain. The precipitation in the form of water droplets is called rain. The size of raindrops are smaller than 0.5 mm in diameter is known as drizzle. I repeat, the size of raindrops are smaller than 0.5 mm in diameter is known as drizzle. And the raindrops with greater than 0.5 mm in diameter is known as rain. Next, sleet. The precipitation which takes place in the form of mixture of water droplet and tiny particle of ice, that is 5 mm in diameter, is known as sleet. And next, freezing rain. The raindrops falling through cold air which do not freeze in the air. Instead, when they touch a cold surface, they freeze. So this is called freezing rain. The drops of water are usually greater than 0.5 mm in diameter. And next, hail. The precipitation which consists of round pellets of ice which are larger than 5 mm in diameter is called hail or hailstones. Children, look at this picture. Yes, this is called hailstone. And next, snow. Precipitation in the form of powdery mass of ice is known as snowfall. I repeat, the precipitation in the form of powdery mass of ice is known as snowfall. It is common in the polar and high mountains regions. So children, these are the types of precipitation. And now let's see infiltration. Water entering the soil at the surface of the ground is termed as infiltration. I repeat, water entering the soil at the surface of the ground is termed as infiltration. Infiltration is an important process where rainwater soaks into the ground through the soil and underlying rock layers. The rate of infiltration is influenced by the physical characteristics of the soil, vegetative cover, moisture content of the soil, soil temperature, and rainfall intensity. Okay children, now see the infiltration process picture. So here we have the precipitation rainfall in the form of precipitation. So if the soil is porous means the water enter into the soil and store as a underground water. And if the soil is not porous, then the water will run off. Okay children? Okay. Now let's see the percolation. Percolation is the downward movement of infiltrated water through soil and rock layers. Infiltration occurs near the surface of the soil and delivers water from the surface into the soil and plant root zones. Percolation moves the infiltrated water through the soil profile and rock layers, which leads to the formation of groundwater or become a part of subsurface runoff process. So this is the process of percolation. And next, runoff. Runoff is the water that is pulled by gravity across land surface. It replenishes groundwater and surface water as it percolates into an aquifer. An aquifer is underground layer of water bearing rock or moves into a river, stream or watershed. Runoff is also a major contributor to the erosion. The rate of runoff is dependent on the amount of rainfall, porosity of soil vegetation and slope. And now let's see the types of runoff. First one, surface runoff. Surface runoff is a portion of rainfall that enters the stream immediately after the heavy rain. In this condition, the excess water makes head over the ground surface, which tends to move from one place to another following land gradient and is known as overland flow. When the overland flow joins a stream, channels or ocean, it is termed as surface runoff or surface flow. And next type, subsurface runoff. The water that has entered the subsoil and moves laterally without joining the water table to the streams, rivers or oceans is known as subsurface runoff. And third type, base flow. It is a flow of underground water from a saturated groundwater zone to a water channel. It usually appears to a downstream location where the channel elevation is lower than the groundwater table. Now, children, read the hard words, listen the pronunciation of hard words. Precipitation, precipitation. Evapotranspiration, evapotranspiration. Hydrologic, hydrologic. Condensation, condensation. Infiltration, infiltration. Percolation, percolation. Sleet, sleet. Hail, hail. Transpiration, transpiration. Unsaturated, unsaturated. Okay children, so for today's homework is that you have to draw the picture of hydrologic cycle and the process of evaporation picture in your rough note. Okay children? Okay, I hope you all understood this lesson. Thank you.